Pacific, it's A's and Rays from Oakland. Win or go home. Catch it on ESPN and the app.
What's your weight going into training camp then?
I don't want to say.
What do you have to do differently to get acclimated to a new team and a new city?
I'm not sure. I wish I could tell you.
Kawhi left?
I know.
Oh, man.
I'm so sorry to break that to you.
We just like, are we ready to do it? And everybody was like, yeah. I mean, it was really that simple.
Probably heard about the Zoom Freak ones over the summer. Do you have your pair already?
I don't have my pair yet.
I popped up at a Brooklyn Park the other day, not realizing that I'm still not normal.
Sorry guys, I've been in Greece for 3 months and my English are shaky, but lifting out the trophy is going to be amazing.
I lost 25 and then I put on another 5, so I'm muscle.
It'll be the biggest question in Milwaukee this season. Will he stay or will he go? Giannis has 2 years left with the Bucks before he becomes a free agent in the summer of 2021. But as you hear from the Greek Freak, he is done talking about his future plans.
I feel like if you have a great team and our goal is to, win a championship, be the last team standing and, get better each day, I think it's disrespectful towards my teammate talking about, my free agency, what I'm going to do. So when the time is right, we're all going to talk about it. I don't think the time is right now. Obviously, our focus, as I said, is to get better each day, compete, go out there and compete as hard as we can. And I'm not going to talk about it a lot this season, and I'm not going to try to address it.
All right, Max, is Giannis the top commodity in the NBA?
He is, and I'm projecting going forward. He's 24 years old, Stephen A. And he got done by Kawhi, but Kawhi is fully in his prime. He had load management through the season, the whole thing, right? So Kawhi got him. That's a mature superstar in his prime. Giannis is still a baby, but he's already been through the wars. He's already learned from defeat. He's already gotten better every season. He's already a monster, both ends of the floor. And something that became obvious to me, and credit to you for bringing this up before the series started, Giannis needs someone else really to get his own shot. Even though he sometimes turns into the de facto point guard when he gets ahead of steam, he can't get his own shot like a little guy, right? He is 7 feet tall, and you just mentioned when you saw him getting bigger. Diesel. Speaking of Diesel, Shaq was a dude who looked at Giannis and said, yeah, that guy you can call Superman because he brings it hard every time. Giannis is already league MVP, playoff experience, tested, and by the way, succeeded in the earlier rounds until he ran into Kawhi. And I believe would have ultimately been successful had Kawhi not been there, would have already been looking at his first championship. Look at the numbers. Look at the numbers he puts up, getting better and better. By the way, you know how we say if Simmons could shoot the 3? Giannis already is starting to shoot the 3 very respectably. I anticipate that's going to get better. And let me tell you this. If Giannis becomes a real serious three-point shooter, of everyone I look at, I would say of everyone who's come along, when you go, Shaq has a chance. No, he was an all-time great, but he wasn't Jordan. LeBron has a chance. Not quite. Of everyone I see, Giannis is the guy where if he became a deadly three-point shooter, he could replace Jordan one day as the greatest player who ever lived. I mean, he's that great. He's only 24.
Okay, first of all, he won't do that. I've never seen anybody in the history of the game that developed that much as a perimeter shooter outside of Jordan. I don't see Giannis being that guy. That's number one. Number two, I want to take a moment to veer left, even though, again, I disagree with you about Giannis. But before I say that, let me say this. I got a lot of love for this kid. We actually did a commercial together for ESPN. He's a fantastic kid and a terrific player with an incredible upside. I'm a huge fan of Budenholzer as a coach. I think he's an exceptional coach. And the Bucks organization and what they were doing when I was covering the conference finals with them in Toronto, some of the stuff that they do, their own version of LA Live out there, Max. They took me for a tour of their facilities, the whole bit. There's some special things going on in Milwaukee. We need to give them love and we need to give them respect and credit. Having said all of that, here's the thing. Number one, right now, it's still LeBron. Giannis ain't leapfrogging him. It harkens me back to 2008 when LeBron and those boys went to the Olympics in Beijing. And the most popular dude was Kobe. And what happened is in China, I mean, one could argue that Kobe was almost as popular, if not as popular, as Yao Ming. Why? Because he had rings. And that's what, from a global perspective, people respect. Even though he's from Greece and even though Giannis is big time or whatever, when you talk about him being the top commodity in the NBA, considering the global brand that the NBA is, you ain't getting it without a title. And I got news for you. I don't believe he's getting a title in Milwaukee. LeBron could do it in L.A. Here's the other thing. Joel Embiid could do it in Philly. And by the way, while we're talking about numbers, let's take into account the fact that Joel Embiid averaged 27 and 13. Let's not forget that. Let's also remember that Joel Embiid shoots better from three-point range. Let's also remember that he said he shoots better from three-point range. Giannis had about 25%, or Joel is at 30%. That's what it said. That's what it said. I'm saying I stand corrected, but that's what I read. Okay. Would that be?
Yeah, you're right. Last year, 26%.
That's right. That's right. The other thing is, Giannis, as much as we love him because he's a straight shooter, he's dogged in his approach towards excellence and dominance. I told you, Max, when Philadelphia lost on that triple, quadruple bounce from Kawhi Leonard, I said, watch out when people were mocking Joel Embiid because he went in the hallway and went into his girlfriend's arm and he was crying and stuff like that. I think it's the greatest thing that happened to the 76ers in the Joel Embiid era. Here's why. Because he played too much. He played too much. It's all fun and games. And that, to me, is the first time he was genuinely hurt on the basketball court. If he just a taste of Giannis's, determination, look the hell out.
The Sixers could win the whole thing this year.
They could.
And I believe they'll come out of the East early on.
I do. So
Let me tell you why, and I agree with you about Embiid.
Right.
Embiid, here's why I take Giannis over Embiid. Mainly health. Embiid has had health issues throughout his career.
I often know. I'm just talking about if they're both healthy.
They both have great personalities.
But that's right. Yeah, that's right.
They both have great personalities. Right. Everyone loves playing with Giannis. Giannis embraced Milwaukee. Milwaukee embraced Giannis. Giannis doesn't want to work out with guys on other teams because they're the enemy, like old school. I love Giannis. Embiid has the kind of personality. He's like the modern day Shaq. He is. He is. I think,
in terms of personality.
No question.
Yes.
No one has a better personality in sports than Embiid.
Joel Embiid will call somebody the Sacramento Queens like Shaq did. He'll do that.
I love Embiid. They're both great picks. By the way, neither one American-born. Interesting. We're talking about, the NBA that way. But
they're both over 7 feet,
in this era, and when has it ever been that the center was the guy selling the sneakers, was the guy who actually was the #1 star in the sport? Even when Olajuwon and Shaq and Kareem, and you go to anyone, were the #1 guys, the sneaker sellers, the ones the kids wanted to be, were rarely that. And even though Giannis is a 7-footer, his game is not exactly like a 7-footer. He has the kind of personality and the kind of game that can make him the #1 star in the sport one day.
Right, no disagreement. All I'm saying is that, again, we take injuries aside because that's always a given.
Yeah.
It's not that it doesn't matter. It's not that it's not important.
It's just a big issue with Embiid.
It's not that it's not important. It's that I always concede. Obviously, injuries are always a factor. But I'm talking about in terms of their game, if both of them are on the floor healthy against one another. Giannis is very, very appealing in his no-nonsense approach. But the market that he's in and the lack of success I think they'll have in terms of capturing a championship, when I look at Philadelphia, it's not just that they have Horford. They got him from Boston. So you weaken Boston while strengthening yourself as far as I'm concerned. And if you're Embiid and you come out like the monster I know you can be, with that personality and his willingness to call, he talks about opponents.
I got you again right here by your own logic, okay?
Okay.
For the Sixers to win a championship, what's going to have to happen?
That what I just explained, that Ben Simmons shooting a jump shot.
Ben Simmons shooting a jump shot. And the thing about Simmons is he is also such a special player. We forget now because the shot hasn't been falling. They had to put him in the dunker spot in the playoff, stuff like that.
That won't happen this year. I predict that Simmons will be better this year.
If Simmons develops that shot, that is so key to the Sixers winning, and Simmons' play is so key to the Sixers winning. That's going to split the kind of credit that's given on that team.
You could say that, but in the event, he's going to have numbers. But in the end, here's what it comes down to. Ben Simmons is a star without a jump shot. If he gets a jump shot, Lord
you know who else is working on a jump shot?
That's an MVP right there.
Giannis don't have that available to him. Brogdon's gone, and he was never Ben Simmons anyway. But he's gone. He's in India.
If Simmons gets a jump shot,
it's a wrap.
It's a wrap in the East.
Giannis said he's working on it.